Bonaire is a Caribbean port of call rich in beauty and handled with care. In this video, we go over the usual port basics and rent a Jeep to explore this tiny paradise, sharing driving details along the way, with tips you should be aware of. I'm Troy, and this is the Port Lowdown. Bonaire is a special municipality of the Netherlands in the southern Caribbean, 50 miles off the coast of Venezuela. Along with Curaçao and Aruba, it's part of the ABC Islands. While Curaçao has a capital city and Aruba has the resort life, Bonaire has a nature preserve. In fact, surrounding the entire island, including the uninhabited Klein Bonaire, is the Bonaire National Marine Park, one of the world's oldest marine reserves. Coral reef, seagrass, and mangroves are heavily monitored to protect the delicate ecosystem and the numerous ocean and bird life that live here, including nesting sea turtles and flamingos. As such, diving is the main draw here, along with hiking for bird watchers, windsurfing, some of the best in the world, and an outer-worldly landscape of salt flats and slave history. A fascinating place. You land at the main town of Kralendijk, where 3 ships can dock alongside. The clear, preserved reef and ocean are evident all around. The dock is compact, with moorings for small water taxis to shuttle visitors to snorkel excursions to the flat-as-a-pancake Clyde Bonaire within view of the ship. Best to pre-arrange, but tours can also be on offer when you leave the dock. No terminal, though. Once you exit, you'll find a small square with souvenir and food vendors, along with the taxi dispatch tent, with fixed prices listed. Outside of tours, taxis are the go-to transport option beyond rentals. There's hardly any public transport or rideshare. Turn left, past more tour tents, and you'll find a public restroom. Go straight past the square, and you'll eventually hit the main drag, where the tourist shops and restaurants are clustered. Several ATMs are also on either end of this tourist street. One next to the Tourist Information Office on the south end, and another just off the north end. US dollars are the currency here, and of course, credit cards are fine for most purchases. The town itself is laid back and pretty. Their e-city tours uses scans to detail some of their choice architecture, and some cool street art. I especially love this local market's murals, as well as checking out local community life. For the independent traveler, you'll need your own wheels. Lots of rental offices are clustered in town, but many wanted multi-day contracts, a real buzzkill for a single-day cruise passenger. Instead, we found better terms with major companies at the airport, about a 10-minute drive south. Our only real option to get there was taxi, especially in the sudden rain. We rented from Avis, which had a pretty big office here. We chose a Jeep for $137.72 per day, accepting the additional insurance, which we always do overseas, for peace of mind and to save time in the event of something happening. The contract came with some interesting restrictions. We hardly ever drive a Jeep, so there is a period of adjustment. The seats don't adjust.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't look like it will have Android Auto. It's meant for tall people.
Bonaire is an interesting conundrum. The roads are just rough enough to need a higher riding Jeep or pickup, but not so bad that you can't work with a regular car. Yeah, sort of. Hands always have to be fighting with the road.
Yeah.
So.
And your feet. You don't need the 4-wheel drive. You just need something high.
Tough. Yeah.
No, something high.
Something high.
Yeah, so an SUV or something like that will work too. People might mark it as a road, but it's not necessarily paved. So just be aware of that. Which is okay, but when it rains, then we're talking about mud.
At any rate, we'd be leery of golf carts. It's tempting to try one on such a small island, but the rough roads will make it difficult. Be prepared to pull over a lot on the narrow roads.
Sorry.
Whoop, that's fine. This is why you need a tough car, because you're gonna be doing stuff like this. And if you're not comfortable with your driving, if you're not comfortable with... There's also passing goats and such to be careful of. Come on, Junior. We had limited port time, so we opted for a quick overview. first going north towards Washington Slagbaai National Park, famous for hiking and birdwatching. Reaching the ring road by Dos Pas took about 35 to 40 minutes. This is more like a mini expedition than a road trip, as you go up small mountain roads with narrow gaps. You can stop on the way at the small town of Rincon, which has some restaurants, a church, and an interesting museum on local life, Museo Chich'i Tan. For a small donation, you can explore the small home of Chich'i Tan, a lady who lived there most of her life. The house is well preserved, offering a glimpse of everyday life. There's also a restroom for a fee and a small market in the back. Good for about a half hour. Heading south for about 40 to 45 minutes, we next explored the windsurf mecca of Sorobon Beach.
Now mind you, this is the road quality to go to a very famous tourist spot.
There's plenty of parking and ample opportunities to try the windsurfing action. The beach itself is a long strip, with much of it roped off to swimmers to protect the ecosystems here. In fact, this sign pretty much outlines that you're in the midst of a preserve. Thus, there's limited swimming, but a fair amount of lounging and hanging at the restaurant if you're not into windsurfing. A clean, free bathroom here too. By the way, the restaurant doesn't offer a complimentary beach chair if you eat there. Everything is a la carte. Continue south towards the otherworldly part of the island. This area south of the airport is totally flat, and much of it wildlife sanctuary, so you may well catch some fauna, keeping a respectful distance, of course. Isolated, arid, and way cool to drive in. Various stops along the way to check out the fauna, coastal art, and industrial structures both present and past. This area is noted for their salt production, still active today, where you can check out these monumental cones of salt from the salt beds that cover this area. Salt production has a deep history here, which you'll see with the remains of these slave huts, structures too low for anyone to stand, where men working the salt beds would stay. These obelisk colors designated a particular kind of salt collected there. All of this is of really eerie quality. This side of the island also hosts many dive sites straight from the shore, as well as kite surfing those never-ending gusts of wind. Closer to the airport, luxury vacation homes and villas sprout up, keeping with this side of the island being a dive and snorkel hotspot. This was a pretty short trip, granted. Best to focus on one particular area with your limited time. Here, the ocean is where it's at, even in town. For more car rental adventures in the Caribbean, check out our trip to Aruba with some really cool surprises. And as always, leave questions and comments. We love hearing from you.